In this video, I'm going to share how you can be successful even if you're bad at your job. Remember back in the day when we all commuted to work in offices? In those days, people were mostly working in jobs near where they lived. Employers were limited to job candidates in their geographical locations. To be competitive in the job market, you only had to be better than the other applicants in your city. Fast forward to the 2020s, where few knowledge workers need to be located in the same place as their employers. Similarly, employers are no longer limited to talent in their geographical area. They get to choose from the best talent in the whole world. In the book Deep Work, Cal Newport writes about this new global job market, and his argument is that knowledge workers can no longer be successful or competitive by simply being mediocre. He insists that the secret to professional success is to be the best at your craft, and the only way to do that is to remove distractions such as email, phones, and social media. Now, I'm a big proponent of decreasing distractions and working proactively, but I would like to argue that you can still get ahead even if you are mediocre at what you do. In fact, you can even be kind of bad at your job, but if you work with integrity, you will still stand out even in a competitive job market. Do I have a problem with Cal's quest for excellence? Not at all. If you have the luxury of being able to work on your craft for uninterrupted hours without the distraction of, say, family or social obligations, props to you. For the rest of us, here's a model that I frequently refer to, and I would like to propose this as an alternative to Cal's solution. For a person to be considered a good employee, they must fulfill any two of the following three criteria: do quality work, deliver on time, and be pleasant to work with. Remember, you don't have to have all three. You only have to pick two of these. If your plan to be a competitive candidate in the job market is simply to be good at what you do, well, you had better be world-class good at what you do. Like you need to be naturally talented, a prodigy, or one of those 10,000 hours people. And still, you are going to need to pick one of these other two criteria, because simply being world-class alone isn't enough if you're a pain to work with or if you don't deliver on time. I'm going to propose an easier option to be successful. And by successful, I mean getting to choose who you work for and at what rate. Unless you're a prodigy, focus on delivering on time and being pleasant to work with. But again, remember, we are in a global economy now, so you are suddenly a small fish in a pond the size of planet Earth. So you can't get away with delivering on time most of the time, or just being tolerable to work with. You have got to have time management systems in place so that you are so reliable that everyone wants you on their team. This is why we're going to talk about how to create systems to manage your workload in a way that means you never drop the ball. You are everyone's most reliable and accountable teammate. In short, you'll be indispensable. One key of time management is having systems in place to work with integrity. Now, I'm not talking about integrity as a moral principle here. I'm talking about the sort of integrity that keeps a building from falling over in the wind. Having systems to manage incoming tasks means you can communicate with your colleagues, customers, and clients in a way that instills confidence. A person who works with integrity never drops the ball, never looks stressed out at work, and is the first person that gets called for the most important projects. I'm going to share 3 principles of working with integrity. Document every task, touch each piece of communication only once, communicate only completed actions. When you create systems to follow these 3 principles, you'll be bulletproof. Now, real quick, why does she keep talking about systems? Systems are things like your capture tool or your process for calendaring. If you're like, what's a capture tool? Since when is calendar a verb? Then you need to go through my Remote Worker's Guide to Time Management. Principle 1, document every task. Your brain isn't a filing cabinet, it's a space for thinking creatively. What are you holding in your brain right now? Is there anything you need to remember to do? If there are any tasks that you don't have documented anywhere, you are wasting valuable mental RAM on really unsophisticated thinking rather than having a clear mind to innovate. Also, guess what? Keeping things in your brain is a bad system. It's not a system. You are forgetting things. People can't depend on you, and when they hear you say, "Oh, I forgot about that," they know that you don't have systems in place to manage your work. As a result, you are not the one that they'll call when something important needs to be handled. There's a place to document every type of work, every idea, every to-do, every random musing. Principle 2, touch each piece of digital communication only once. Unless you're messaging your crush and have to weigh response strategies with your 12 closest friends, only check your messages when you're in a position to reply. Yes, a text message or an email or an app notification is a little electronic dopamine hit, and we are all major drug addicts at this point. The challenge of checking everything as it comes in versus when you're ready to manage it is that you aren't batching your work. It would be like going to the grocery store for one egg at a time. Furthermore, those bids for your attention pull you away from creative, deep work. If you don't know what that means, read the book. The concept of one touch can be applied in so many places in life. Let's say you get a piece of junk mail. You grab it from your mailbox, that's the first touch. Now, do you send it straight to the recycling bin all in one move, or do you put it on a table where it's going to require more touches? Similarly, when you get an email, do you read it and complete the request all in one touch? Or do you read it, then close your email and come back to it daily, then finally respond a week later? Do you open emails when you aren't in a place to manage the request, or do you wait to take care of your emails and associated tasks all at once? Why does this matter? It seems awfully nitpicky, no? If each email takes you 4 touches before you manage it, you are effectively quadrupling your email volume. That means you're spending 4 times as long being a reactive worker, responding to other people's needs, letting other people dictate your work time. So what happens when you receive a message and you aren't in a place to complete the request or respond? Don't read messages when you aren't in a position to respond. Do you have a habit of grabbing your phone when you wake up? Well, stop. There are some exceptions to the one-touch rule. If you are a parent and get a message from your kid, you might want to glance at it and see that they're alive. That's fair. What do we do in another common scenario, though? Let's say you're a person who works a job where you're expected to be responsive, so you check emails as they come in. Well, you better be prepared then to respond to emails as you check them. If you don't have the info you need to respond at that moment, for example, you have to get feedback from another person before you respond, then mark the email as unread until you are ready to resolve the issue. Boom. No way you are leaving anyone hanging or forgetting to respond to anything. Principle 3, communicate only completed actions. Learn how to communicate the things you have done rather than the things you want to do. The sneaky side effect of this is that unless you're lying, you have to do the thing before you get the social reward for having done it. A completed action means you are speaking in the past tense. Your verbs have an ed at the end of them. I have marked my calendar. I talked to the client. I finished reading the document. I scheduled the call. Think of this example. Would you prefer a prospective customer to say, "I'll call you later this week"? Or if they said, "I've marked my calendar to give you a call at 10 a.m. on Friday"? The same thing goes for attachments on emails. Train yourself to attach the document to your email first so that you can truthfully say, "I've attached the document to this email." Following the principle of completed action means breaking a lot of habits. We generally do things as 1, receive a request. Will you send me your flight info? 2, respond, sure. Then 3, we send the info, maybe if we remember. Communicating completed actions means we need to do this in the following order. 1, receive the request. 2, send the info. 3, say, absolutely, I just sent it to you. Here's a list of things that people working without integrity say. I'll mark my calendar. Let's touch base later on this. I'm headed your way. I'll attach the file to this email. Will those people do the thing? No one knows. Those statements are open-ended, vague, aspirational, and lack accountability. They have made no commitment, no plans, and have made no progress towards these goals. Let's fix those weak statements and actually say something useful. What would a person with integrity say? Even better, what action would a person with integrity take in order to communicate intention towards that task? Instead of, I'll mark my calendar, you would mark your calendar and then say, I have marked my calendar. Instead of saying, let's touch base later on this, you would schedule the follow-up and then say, I have scheduled follow-up for this on Friday at 2 p.m. Instead of saying, I'm headed your way, you can say, I will arrive at your house by 8:02 p.m. Instead of saying, I'll attach the file to this email, you would attach the file and then say, please find the file attached. Okay, so you might be asking, and do you actually follow this rule? Like, do you only speak in completed actions all the time? And the truth is no. I totally do the thing where I bump into someone at the grocery store and I make those vague statements like, yeah, let's get lunch sometime. The thing is, I only do that when I don't ever intend on getting lunch with them. If I run into someone that I actually do want to get lunch with, I pull out my phone right that second and schedule it. So the clickbaity title of this video was all about how you could be bad at your job and still be successful. And yeah, I think being a delight to work with and having accountable systems in place to deliver on time make you a top employee. But in reality, once you have created systems to manage your workload and communicate, you've really freed up a lot of bandwidth to do better work. Instead of your brain being a weird dumping ground for uncreative tasks, grocery lists, and errands, you have a clear mind to tackle real problems. Instead of getting sidetracked each time your phone chimes or an alert pops up, you focus all of your energy on one task at a time and end up getting more done than the prodigy next to you. In conclusion, by working with integrity, you will be a person who delivers on time and is a delight to work with, and you are setting yourself up to do the highest quality work. If you're thinking, how do I put systems in place to manage my work? That's what you learn in my course, The Remote Worker's Guide to Time Management. I hope I see you over there.